Hi, so how does, visualization and visualizing and using helpful thoughts, positive thoughts help get you out of any sort of depression or depressive symptoms? And it's a very, very useful tip, this, and I just want to do this as like a self-help video for anybody that's struggling. So the idea is really, so let's say you're kind of high functioning, you're doing things normally throughout the day, but you're struggling in certain areas of your life. So pick an area of your life or a couple of areas that you want to improve on, that you want to see change in, but that's the area that you're struggling to change. You feel stuck. You just don't know how to do it. And this is where visualization really is extremely helpful. It can be transformative. And how it works is when you visualize something, and I've spoken about this in a previous clip when I was doing about addiction, and it's about sort of feeding the information into sort of the filter part of your brain, the reticular activating system, as it's called. And to give you an example, it's, let's say you want to buy something, you want to, buy a car or buy a new coat. You're going to have an idea of what it is that you want. You'll have narrowed it down in your mind what it is that you want to buy. And so I'm just using that as an example to show how the mind works. So you're out and about and all you will see are these types of cars that you're looking to buy. It's all you're going to notice. Suddenly you'll see them everywhere. You're driving past car showrooms and you'll see the particular car, that type of car or make that you want to buy. Or let's say you're looking for a new job or something, so you're on the jobs board. So you're going to put in a filter, and that filter is going to narrow down what it is that you're looking for, which is exactly how this system works in the brain, the RAS, the reticular activating system, and it's very, very powerful. And if you're feeding it negativity, it just grows and it sees more negativity because the RAS functions off your senses, except for apparently the sense of smell, but it works off sight, sound, touch, and hearing. Oof, I remember that one. And it's really important. So to go back to how to elevate yourself, how to get yourself out of depressive symptoms, is to sit down and write out in detail. Using detail is really critical here because the detail connects with the senses. And put in detail. Let's say, for instance, you're struggling in your social life. You're out, you're working, you're doing your job, you're struggling in your social life. That's where your depression is really hitting you. You don't want to mingle with your friends. You don't want to integrate or socialize. So you write down, I hear myself, talking to my friends. I see myself going out or going into the restaurant or into the pub or, getting into the car and going for a drive. So you put in the detail of how you want to see yourself behaving. And like I say, it's important to use the detail, use your senses of sight and touch and all of that. It's really important. And what that does is, so if you write that out and you read it, read it regularly, read it twice a day, and then sit there, as well, sit in a chair for 5 minutes and imagine this and visualize and hear yourself ringing your friends, see yourself going out with your friends or doing whatever it is that you want to change and improve in your life. You visualize that in great detail. And that's why I think it's helpful to write it out first. And that will give you the time to put in those necessary details. Because that RAS system in the brain is really, really important. And I mean, I spoke about this before, and there was a test or study done before where piano exercise was done by a Harvard professor of neurology. And he gave these piano exercises to students, and they were physically practicing the piano exercises. And they took a scan of the brain and they measured whatever the motor cortex and saw after a couple of weeks of doing these exercises physically on the piano that this part of the brain had grown from doing these exercises. But the point of the exercise was that they gave the similar exercises to other students, but no piano. So they were just imagining that they were doing this piano training, and they were imagining that they were playing these arpeggios or whatever the piece of music or the exercises were. They were given the same length of time, and then similarly their brain scans were done 2 weeks later. and were found, the part of the brain was found to have enlarged and grown the exact same amount as the pupils who had actually trained physically on the piano. And there are lots of studies to this effect that show that the brain changes through visualization. It's extremely powerful. And that's why I talk about how powerful the mind is. It really is. So I really want this to be helpful for anybody who's struggling. And this doesn't mean, you see a lot on the internet and, about big goals, dream big and, dream big or go home kind of thing. And I think that has its place, but I think if you're struggling with any kind of depressive symptoms, I think you need to be in a place where you feel those goals are within touching reach. You need to feel that they're attainable. Because if they're too much, you're not going to feel that you can connect with them. You need to be able to connect with them in some shape or form. And it might take some time. It mightn't happen immediately. You might sit down, hopefully after this video, and think, well, I'm not feeling it. This is not going to work. But you've got to give yourself time and to work at this and spend time on it. It won't just happen overnight. It might do for you. You might be able to visualize straight away and see exactly what it is you want, or it might take a bit of work. But I would suggest, keep that goal within sort of more touching distance, more where you feel it's feasible for you. And then you can always expand it and move it forward, move those goalposts. But I would say initially, just keep it relatively low key and feel that you can attain it, and give yourself time. Do give yourself time to do this and invest the time in yourself. 5-10 minutes every day could really change your life. I really hope this has been helpful, and I'm going to keep posting on this topic. And do leave any comments or any questions, or share this video if you feel it would be helpful for anybody that you know. And all the very best for 2023. Bye for now.